December of 2011.
Yeah. And so now you got to bring in all of your water here. How much water you have?
Well, it depends on the water right now.
Smooth.
Vera, hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Hi.
Good to see you.
Hi.
Very nice to meet you.
Oh, the pleasure. Oh my gosh. Hi. Nice to meet you. Meeting with us. Thank you. How are you?
How you doing, John? Nice to see you. Good to see you.
This is Arun Ghandhi. He came to meet us.
Tell us what problems you had since the wells came in.
Our well filled with methane and lots of heavy metals and stuff. We have our delivery comes from
The family right there. Can the family
Are you able to shower? Are you able to cook?
Yes. Yeah, we don't use it
right in with Matt.
potable water. We use it only for showering and
They're here to see you guys.
How do you cook?
we use bottled water. This water sits in a tank. It's actually a cattle tank. The water just sits in it, so it's not drinkable water. We use bottled water to drink.
They told us when they put this in that they would switch them out, rotate them out, and sanitize them and sterilize them. They haven't done that yet. We've had it since March of last year.
So how do you feel about the fact that they've been drilling for natural gas in your neighborhood, in this country, in this town?
I don't like the process at all. I think they're ruining the earth.
It's not safe. They say it's safe, but it's not. You know, and there is problems every once in a while. It's just kind of goes off as being crazy. We've been called everything in the book.
By whom?
By
Neighbors. The gas
officials.
company has put out things on the internet. EID has put out things that make us look like we're making things up. Oh yeah, we've been harassed on our way to work. Gas company workers have followed us to work, flashing their high beams on and off right behind us. We called the state police. Unless you can identify the person in the vehicle, even if you have the license plate number, you can't press charges. And if you've got your headlights on, obviously you're not going to be able to see in the window to, it's still dark out.
So is there any long-term plan for fixing the water issue, or is this a permanent solution? They're just going to bring you water, put them in tanks. I mean, is there any other plan for getting out of that situation?
We don't know of one yet, because right now it's still under investigation. Nobody's made any conclusions yet as to whether the gas company was the cause of it.
We have a third of an acre. If they drill us another well, it's going to be in the same aquifer. And the aquifer's contaminated, so no matter where they drill.
Your water bottle was literally like exploding out of the top.
It was.
Yeah, I have video of it.
Can you say that? Because they didn't hear that. Well,
yeah, our well was erupting. It was shooting out with force out of our well.
Can you have a photo of that?
I have video
What
and
was coming out? Was it methane?
water, methane, lots of methane. Right before they vented our well, the Friday before they vented our well, we had 82% methane coming out of our well, the previous.
82%.
82%.
Because
My granddaughter's bedroom was right above our kitchen. We used to leave our water in the kitchen sink running so that it didn't erupt out of the well, to keep it from getting all muddy, because it would be muddy when it would erupt. And my granddaughter would vomit. She'd wake up in the morning and vomit, sometimes 3 or 4 days a week. And then she'd be fine, so we didn't think she had the flu or anything. We thought she was waking up hungry, and it never occurred to us that it was the methane seeping up through the ceiling, but I'm sure that's what it was.
Once we got the water buffalo, that went away. She never did that. The methane was coming in the house, and the well was taken off the line. wasn't getting sick. So we kept the water running because it kept the well and the pressure building up in there and the second from erupting. So the water would stay somewhat clear. But every time that well
Oh, don't go. Wait.
Bring him over here to the store, Vera?
The wireless is so bad. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I just took a bunch of new ones that are even better.
So how is it that they can still deny it? I mean, in a modern world, the internet, media, I don't understand how it's possible that we can all be kept in the dark about this. I mean, these are real human beings. The water's been contaminated.
Make a snowman. Make a snowman.
Sure, baby. How you doing? Water is shooting out of the well. I mean, you can't. It's like Rachel Carson with the birds were falling out of the sky. You have to pay attention to the fact that Governor Cuomo's trying to decide what to do. I mean, the guy has to be a hero and just decide to really do the right thing, because fracking is forever. Once you do this, and the amount of chemicals and poisonous everything that continues even when they've taken the gas they want, you cannot rectify it. So once those wells go in, once these pipes go in, I mean, you're not even by law allowed to plant anything on where all the pipes are.
People are, saying Dimmick is ground zero, Susquehanna County ground zero. Until you're physically on the ground, do you get a sense of it, or is this kind of opened your eyes more?
I've definitely opened my eyes, and it breaks my heart. I mean, you talk to people their first time, and here they are trapped in this, and they've done due diligence and written their letters, and EPA, shame on them. I mean, how can you say that there's nothing wrong? I mean, clearly there is, and the only way that they'll get involved is by saying they'll never sue or signing all kinds of papers, and the EPA just didn't believe it. So, I mean, it's ground zero, because what happens here, water, first of all, water's thick.
I gotcha.
There's nothing more basic. You give up your water.
You want to run here? You want to drink?
Hi, Peter.
Family man. That's all you have to do. Good to see you, man. I mean, this is not same
Me and well, we contacted the contact first. They said the contact the gas company. We're gonna go to his place too. Gas company came out. They contacted the DEP and another Resource Environmental, and the DEP came. They did water testing. Resource Environmental came out and did air quality testing inside our home. At that point, we were told that we had so much methane coming out of our faucet that we couldn't use our kitchen stove. When in showers and stuff, we couldn't keep our bathroom door or windows closed. We had to have everything open and the fan going for ventilation because the methane would build up in the enclosed area and it would be combustible. Yeah, because we left the water running in the faucet. We left it running.
2009 till July.
Right.
So it's almost like, you know,
Yeah, I remember.
getting...
How far away does that pond from a drilling
I
site?
started in February 2009. About 6 months. Because I remember John Bennett was talking to me about that.
Yeah, John
And he was saying, I want you to meet Yoko and Company.
But it's amazing, isn't it? So then...
You guys are doing a really good
They don't know
job.
the recipes and all that.
They're really happy. This is the Manning's well. One of the shots of the Manning's well.
That's all the gas coming out of
Their
it.
well. That's their water well.
Water and gas.
Did you see the gas coming out of the top of their water well?
This is using the floor camera that Frank has.
That's on your property?
No, Manning.
On the Manning's property. Oh, that's the Manning's.
Going down? That's the top of their water well with the cover on it.
That's their water well?
That's their water well. With the cover on it.
So they put a vent on this, as well as a store across the road, and a house across the road, and another house up there.
Is it contaminated?
Well, look, Mom, that's their well. That's their drinking water. Is smoking with gas.
There's a constant sound.
It's constant. And that's pretty mild. The one that I saw, it was like...
Now,
I'll show it to you.
now the sound you hear on here is my camera making noise. The camera has a compressor on it that runs constantly to keep it 20 below zero in order for it to run. So that I can't. Sometimes I get rid of the noise. Sometimes I can't.
The camera operates at 20 below zero. It's got like
does?
liquid nitrogen in it.
Something like that. Like a little compressor.
There's the water well. What kind of food is it? Sandwiches or something.
50 years.
And how many? So at every single drilling site,
This is what we mean when you're saying it's transformative for New York State.
100,000 times.
This is one part of the process that's happening periodically throughout the state for 40, 50 years. Sound fun?
And my mother and I started Artists Against Fracking in July of last year when Cabot Oil came to our town, and they're proposing this thing called the Constitution Pipeline, which apparently starts here, or nearby here, and will go through Susquehanna and right by our house. In fact, we'll see it and hear it if it happens from my property, which is the property that my mom and dad bought before I was born, and I grew up there. And the reason I care so much about this is because it's personal. We always had our own well water there, and you know, I always used to brag, there's no fluoride or chlorine in this water, you bathe and it's amazing. And those days are going to be long gone if Cabot Oil has their way. So that's why my mom and I started this coalition. Within 2 weeks we had over 100 members, including Sir Paul McCartney and some other great people like Richard Gere and Robert De Niro. And then we went on the Jimmy Fallon show. We did this song that I wrote very quickly just to get on a comedy show called Don't Frack My Mother. And it turned out to be kind of funny and good, but we wanted to put together a website that would educate people before the show went on air, so we put together the Artists Against Fracking website in about 2 weeks, really quickly. And that was how the coalition started. Then from there it's just sort of escalated. We started working with the Fenton group, and with Fenton together, we've been planning a lot of different initiatives. One of them is a competition to do a commercial TV spot to, you know, urge Governor Cuomo to continue the moratorium on fracking and to stop it in New York State. Another one of our crazy ideas was to rent a bus and drive on icy roads throughout the muddy back roads of Pennsylvania.
Is he going left?
Are we going right or left?
Right. Go right.
Nobody knows.
Go right. Right.
Right.
Vera, we can't
À la droite.
We can't go up Kane Road.
I understand. We're going paved roads.
Great.
All right, we're looking for paved roads here. So, yeah, I'll be here all week. No, I won't. Yeah.
Stay, Sean. We got a place to stay.
Okay, thank you. Actually, Craig, whose house we were at, I wound up meeting for the first time in Sydney, which is a town nearby our farm. And both Vera and Craig happened to be there giving a talk. And I was really struck actually by what you guys said, because you guys were not from New York State, and you were so impacted by what happened to you here that you drove all the way into New York to try to educate people like me and landowners there about what we were looking to expect. Obviously, I've been researching fracking quite a bit in the last few months, but none of my research could have prepared me for how ugly this really has been today. I mean, the compressor station, I'd read a lot about them hissing, and I'd read a lot about the flares at the drilling sites, but it really looked like some kind of colony on the moon or something. It was just really ugly and large and irreversible. And you know, that's the thing about these pipes, is it's hard to realize how many pipelines we're actually talking about. But that one house that we went to was only 4 drills, only 4 well sites, and they all need pipes. So those pipes are essentially highways of death through the forest, because you can never plant any crops on them, you can never plant any trees on them legally, forever. And there's no lease expiration on the pipes. They have a permanent, you know, place in our wilderness from that point on. So they're literally highways of death. There's no more trees, there's no more plants there forever. And we're not just talking about the main pipelines that, you know, like the Constitution pipeline that goes from Dimmock to Susquehanna. We're talking about all the little pipes that are going to cross-hatch the wilderness from every single well site they find, and they don't even know where those are going to be, because they drill, and then they find gas, and then they bring in a pipeline there. So it's these random cross-hatching of pipes that are permanent, along with the cement roads that bring the trucks in and out. And those never go away. I mean, if you look at the aerial views, I've seen a lot of the aerial photographs of these drill sites, and it really looks like the circuit board of a computer. If you can imagine all those little soldered metal lines, imagine that as highways for giant trucks that are bringing in, again, it's millions of gallons per day. You were saying sometimes 9 million gallons of fresh water a day they need just to lubricate the drills. 4 million gallons a day, just to lubricate the drills so that they don't explode. And they mix them with all these nasty chemicals, a cocktail of potentially 600 chemicals, including all these toxic hydrocarbons that are really bad for you. And obviously we've seen the Mannings today. It does get into their water. I don't know how it's possible for the gas companies to deny that that's the case if they're actually bringing fresh water to the people whose water they destroyed. But somehow they can still pretend that that doesn't happen. And it's really disturbing. So that's why we decided to have this bus trip, because you can't really deny what you see. And we're seeing it for ourselves. I mean, you can throw all the facts and figures and science at people you want, and people can just say, that's not true, and then the conversation's over. But here today, we're actually going to see it for real, and we've been seeing it for real, and there's no denying what we're seeing. This is really happening, and it's worse than I could have imagined. Honestly, I was sort of choked up when we were at the Mannings house, because just seeing it actually affect that young girl and their family, and seeing the sort of hopelessness in the eyes of this family who really did nothing to deserve having their lives turned upside down, and then to know that their well is still exploding with gas, it's just disgusting. And there's no plan to save their water. I mean, there's no way we can go back. It's a permanent destruction of the water table. They have no system of saying, oh well, for now we're gonna bring you these big gallons of water, but eventually we're gonna fix it and you're just gonna get well water again. That's never gonna happen. If they want to live in that house forever, they need to be delivered water from elsewhere. And if you look around you, there's so much snow and there's so much wilderness. This is not a place that we should be delivering water on trucks. I mean, obviously that's not an efficient way to run a green economy. The less trucking and the less shipping and the less flying around of products and things that we need, the better, obviously, for food.